Hey guys, Tech Doc here. Today I want to talk about the lead and steel Promethean LP-1. Now, full disclosure before I get into this video, this optic was given to me not by the company themselves. I wasn't even very familiar with this company before getting this optic. It was given to me by a buddy of mine who just wanted me to review it. He has no, real business relationship with this company. I have no real business relationship with this company. This is kind of totally unbiased. Again, this was just given to me by somebody not related to the company to just kind of review. But again, it was given to me, so I did not pay for this. So again, the Promethean LP-1. This is a red dot optic, which I know it sounds kind of weird, but I think I'm going to compare this most to the EOTech throughout this video. I also run an EXPS3 on my main squeeze. And I think that's what I'm going to compare this most to. So let's get into it. First things first, actually, since it's already on the gun, I'll show you mounting solutions. So this is an excellent time to explain that the mounting solution that'll come with your LP-1 will be an updated version and is just better all around. Mechanism is still the same though. So there's a little lever here on the side. You just kind of depress this, push that forward, and the optic will loosen up. On the other side here, there's kind of a screw, a tension screw that you can adjust. But ignore the 10 seconds of me embarrassingly trying to get this optic off. I was troubleshooting it and eventually figured it out. I will say I was sick, and you can progressively hear me get more sick throughout this video. I apologize. That's how the optic comes off. Very easy, very straightforward. Pros and cons to that. Although it is very nice to swap the optic from, or it's very easy to put the optic on that way. When I was throwing this gun around, and the optic around, I did notice that this did come loose. The optic didn't come off or anything like that. I mean, I just had to close it again and everything was in working order. But this did come loose, which if that happens while you're shooting, there may be some wiggle of the optic. All of the new LP-1s that you buy will not have this issue. The retention is much better and much more improved. So all in all, really not the biggest deal. Let's just kind of get into this thing. So my understanding is that, when they designed this optic, it was designed from the ground up, basically. They had an image, they had an idea that they wanted to pursue, and they built everything to follow that image and to fit the mold of the idea that they had. And I think they did a pretty good job. So let's talk about the most important aspect. The most important aspect, in my opinion, being the actual emitter itself. So this is a red dot. Let's turn it on and get it so that you guys can see the reticle that I have it on. There we go. That is not a good image. This is, right now I have it on like the EOTech dot and donut. Yeah, it's not working for me. So right now I have it on the EOTech dot and donut. I like that a lot for rifles and for firearms. You can change it, so you can change it to the dot itself, or you can change it to, I'm trying to adjust the brightness so that you can see the full reticle, but I don't think that's going to work for me. So you can change it to the dot itself or the donut. So you have a 2 MOA dot or a 65 MOA donut, or the dot and donut combination. Which is my preference. The battery life on the dot itself, my understanding is it's like 50,000 continuous hours is what they publish. And then the larger dot and ring is roughly 30,000 hours. Now, when I first got this optic, I put the battery in and I turned the optic on, and then I just let it sit on my gun. I didn't have an opportunity to shoot that week, so it was like 1 week of just on my gun. And when I went back to the gun, it wasn't turning on. The battery had died. Now, what could that have been? Could it have been a poor battery? Maybe. Could it have been that the hours that this optic company boasts aren't necessarily true? I don't think so, because I replaced the battery and then just left it on, and I've had no issues. So I don't really think that's it. Maybe there was something within the optic contributing to the shorter half-life, the shorter battery life, or maybe it was just not a great battery. But that was my initial experience. That being said, the emitter itself, this is a closed system with a closed emitter. I love that. I am not a fan of open emitters anymore, and I will bully anybody who talks about open emitters or who owns open emitters and likes to shoot them. I had a poor experience like 2 or 3 times with open emitters where one time I think it was a raindrop just perfectly fell into the emitter space and was an issue for me. And then the other times it was like dirt and leaves and things like that just got into my optic and made it difficult. Those 2 times they were easy clears, and you can just continue doing what you were doing. But when the rain got in there, like it really took me out of the quote unquote battle, if that's what you're into. But it took me out of shooting for a minute. I had to like actually dry out that emitter so I can see something. So closed emitters, great for adverse conditions, snow, rain, mud, water, dirt, whatever it is, and just more protected overall. So huge fan on that front. Expanding out from the emitter, first thing we, I guess, encounter is the glass. You can see mine is a little dirty. It has some mud and dirt all in it and on it and stuff like that. That's because I use my guns. Now, I love the window. It's a very nice and large window. I personally, like I said, I'm going to compare this directly to the EOTech, which also has a very large window. This optic is a little longer, and so there's a little bit more visual field occlusion that you may experience when trying to look through the glass. There's just more metal along the sides here. At least I feel that way. That may not necessarily be true. I guess I've never compared them side to side, but I kind of felt that way when, looking left or right, this was less forgiving with a less direct, perfectly direct point of view. But, comparing to the EOTech, again, wonderful job, just very large, very easy to acquire your target, very easy to stay on target, very easy to keep a dot in the glass, even when you're not necessarily able to have a perfect cheek weld, for instance. So great for that. So coming out from there, we encounter the housing itself. So the housing itself has on top here is more noticeably rounded when compared with the EOTech, which is flatter, and that's by design. My understanding is that a bunch of mechanical engineers got together and designed this, and you can really see it in a number of different aspects. First off, of course, is this rounding here. It makes for a more appropriate distribution of force when this thing is dropped or thrown or whatever you're doing to it. Lead and Steel has an excellent video, actually, now that I think about it, comparing the LP-1 to the EOTech EXPS system in a torture test. They kind of try to beat it up and just talk about what they experienced, and I would go watch that video. I'm going to throw in some clips like this one, for instance, showing that we did our own testing, but I didn't want to beat a dead horse. I mean, this video already exists, so go watch that one, but again, here's just some of the things that I did on my own. another bit of important information when discussing the housing itself. So the housing is 7000 series aluminum. I don't know how much you know about aluminum, but a lot of the industry standard is 6000 series, right? We have 6000 series lowers and 6000 series optics. A lot of our upper receivers and things are 7000 series, but 6000 is average for the industry. This is 7000. This goes above and beyond what is seen within the industry. I believe the EOTech EXPS3, which is the one that I have, again, that's what I'm comparing it to, I believe that is 6000 series aluminum. So this has a stronger housing, stronger metal housing, which is a variation from the industry standard. From there, traveling outwards, we have the hood. The hood now is 6000 series. So 7000 series body, 6000 series hood. What is the logic for that? You, much like a car, want areas where things can bend, things can compress, things can absorb force, and I think that is the function of the 6000 series hood on the outside here. You can see obviously it's not touching the housing, and I think it just allows the 6000 series to absorb force before transmitting it to the housing, to the glass, and things like that. You can see in the lead and steel video, which I will reference again and tell you to go watch, that on one of the optics there is an issue where the glass breaks rather quickly due to transmission of force from the hood to the glass itself. There are 2 night vision settings if you're a night vision shooter. I love shooting at night. I have no complaints with it. I don't generally, when I'm shooting night vision, I use active shooting, active aiming, so I use a laser system. So when I was using this, it wasn't actively trying to gather information about the optic. It would just so happen to be nighttime and I was shooting this optic, and I have no complaints. Nothing stood out that was bad. It was what it was, which was an optic that can shoot at night. Also on the note of glass, we talked about clarity and tint. There's minimal tint to this this glass here, this optic. Very minimal, no parallax. I don't see any real distortion. I'm trying to test right now. I don't really see any real distortion of image along the edges here, so we can see, not really a whole lot of tint. And then the distortion along the edges, we can see as I compare it across this mat here, there's really not a whole lot of distortion. So very cool, very good on them. Further moving out, the last thing we'll talk about really is the adjustment systems here and here. You can use a screwdriver, you can use, I think Lead and Steel mentions that you can use like a spent casing. I just used a hollow sun adjusting tool and it worked fine. Actually, that's a lie. I used the tool they included in the kit. Yeah, that's what I used. This guy, hold on, where are we at? They include this tool, and that's what I use to adjust the optic itself. Battery is housed in here. Let's see if I can get this off there you go. It's a single CR123A battery that offers you the potentially 60,000 hours of life. That's it. Not bad. Very easy to put on and take off, adjust to your appropriate tension. Now, on that note of battery life, this is a very, very, very basic optic. It turns on, it remains to hold 0, it is durable, that's it. There's no real flair to it, there's nothing special, no special features, Now, Now, when talking about battery life, there are some companies that will claim certain battery lives that may not necessarily be true or may be exaggerated by certain features. Certain features that I think are incredibly useful for my daily use that are not in this optic. What are those? Well, first off is shake awake. I do like the shake awake idea. I do want to take a moment to say that they are bouncing around the idea of making part of it shake awake, like the outside ring. Just because I'm dumb. I'll forget to turn off an optic and then it'll die and then I won't have my batteries on me and it'll be terrible. I do like shake awake. I can keep all my hollow suns awake and have them there and ready when I'm ready to go. It's more important, I guess, on a pistol where I guess that's not even true either, because your body is always moving when you're carrying, so that's not true. So it never really falls asleep. Another thing that it doesn't have, and I totally get why it doesn't again, but it doesn't have solar capabilities. Is that necessarily important when your battery lasts for 50,000 hours? No, not really. But it's an option. I highly doubt that any of my solar capable optics have relied on solar power ever. But that introduces more things to mess up, more things to break, more ways for things to get into a closed system and all of that sort. So again, this optic is incredibly good at what it does. It is durable, it holds zero, and that's what it's incredible. All in all, I had a great time shooting this optic. It's durable, I was able to throw it around, I was able to submerge it, I was able to throw it off of things. No issues holding zero. No issues with the reliability. This optic was given to me, and I think I'm gonna buy one. Like, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I'm going to continue testing. I'm going to continue using these things. I think they're great. I think it's wonderful. There are prototypes online for future optics, which I just cannot wait to try out. If they're even half of this optic is going to be amazing. So, in closing, you absolutely 150% need to go get one of these optics. They're incredible. And as always, here's some medical advice. If you suffer a fracture or break associated with a dislocation, just check pulses, make sure pulses are intact, make sure there's good capillary refill if possible. I don't recommend reducing it out in the middle of nowhere. Put a splint on it, try to protect it, and get to the hospital ASAP. You can make things worse by trying to reduce dislocations or fractures without pre-reduction films. And my sponsors, Covert Tactical, awesome supplier of literally everything. Description will have the link and my discount code. Nocturnal Tendencies, night vision supplier, wonderful dude, awesome, super responsive. Again, link and discount code in the description. I'd like to thank Lead and Steel, who I was able to reach out to after starting this, actually after finishing this review, and they were able to supply me more information. Awesome bunch of dudes. Link in description. Check them out. Check out those new optics that they have coming out. They're kind of incredible. And then find me on Instagram at the Tac Doc. That's the easiest way to get a hold of me. That's the easiest way to get in touch with me. And I'm more active there, so you'd see more of what I do. All right, guys. Stay safe. Tac Doc out.